وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. القول مني في جميع الأشياء قول آل محمد. فيما أسروا وما أعلنوا وفيما بلغني عنهم وفيما لم يبلغني. أما بعد، فقد قال سيدنا مولانا أبي عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام: ما خرجت أشرا ولا بطرا ولا ظالما ولا مفسدا، بل خرجت للإصلاح في أمة جدي رسول الله. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. I send my condolences first and foremost to our Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman and to the believing brothers and sisters for the remembrance of the tragedy of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. We thank Allah and Ahl al-Bayt that they have given us an opportunity yet again to be at their service when it comes to the tragedy of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and I personally thank Imam al-Hussein for this blessing. Within these 10 nights, or within this month or 2 months of Muharram and Safar, we commemorate Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. We mourn Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Alhamdulillah, I see all the brothers and sisters here, the brothers here wearing black for mourning over Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. However, it is vital and important that we understand the message behind Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. The purpose behind the movement of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. What was the purpose behind the movement? What was the aim behind the movement of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam? There are 3 opinions which most of the people know about when it comes to the purpose behind the movement of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Number 1 is that Imam al-Hussein rejected the offer to pledge allegiance with Yazid. That in Al-Madinah, he got offered this, that you have to pledge allegiance to Yazid. And Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam refused. And this is where Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam says: إِنَّا أَهْلُ بَيْتِ النُّبُوَّةِ وَمَعْدُنُ الرِّسَالَةِ وَمُخْتَلَفِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ وَبِنَا فَتَحَ اللَّهُ وَبِنَا خَتَمَ اللَّهُ وَيَزِيدُ رَجُلٌ فَاسِقٌ شَارِبُ الْخَمْرِ قَاتِلُ النَّفْسِ الْمُحْتَرَمَةِ مُعْلِنٌ بِالْفُسْقِ وَمِثْلِي لَا يُبَايَعْ مِثْلَهُ. And that's where the Imam says that we are the Ahl al-Bayt. We are the message of Allah. We are the lineage of the Prophet Muhammad. And Yazid is a man of corruption. Yazid is an alcoholic. And someone like me does not pledge allegiance to someone like Yazid. The second reason that people go to is that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam had to answer the plea of the people of Kufa, in the sense that they sent the messages to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and told him to come. And Imam al-Hussein uses this on the day of Ashura. He tells the enemies, he says: ألم تكتبوا إلي أن قد أينعت الثمار واخضر الجناب وإنما تقدم على جند لك مجند. Imam Hussein says, didn't you tell me that you guys are ready for me and you have soldiers here which are waiting for you? And they say that Imam al-Hussein, he knew that they would let him down. However, if Imam al-Hussein did not go, this would be a good excuse for the people of Kufa or Yazid to think that this Imam does not answer the help of the Shia. When the Shia call for him, he does not answer their plea. Some people say that was the purpose behind the movement. And the third reason that some people say is the purpose behind Imam Hussein's movement initially is to order good and forbid evil, which is what I started off with. إني لم أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا ولا مفسدا ولا ظالما وإنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي أريد أن آمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر. That I did not come here for no reason. I did not come here because I was seeking power, I was seeking the caliphate, or I was seeking money. I came here to fix the religion of my grandfather that Muawiya and Yazid had ruined. أريد أن أأمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر. I want to order good and forbid evil. All of these answers are valid. However, with each answer there is a hidden meaning. And with each answer there is a step towards the movement of Imam al-Hussein. And there is an additional reason that we will talk about towards the end of the lecture, inshallah. Going on to the first purpose, which was what? That Imam al-Hussein was offered to pledge allegiance to Yazid, and Imam al-Hussein refused. When you look at it from that aspect, it's pretty simple that yes, Imam al-Hussein was offered to pledge allegiance. Imam al-Hussein refused. He was not, he was still going to move towards Karbala, regardless of if Yazid forced him or not. Why? To show the Shia how to stand against oppression. And this is where we have a lot of examples from the Ahl al-Bayt that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam personified in his stance where he said, "Mithli la yubayi' mithlah." Someone like me does not pledge allegiance to an oppressor, to a zalim. And we see this in the teachings of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam. The Holy Prophet Muhammad says, إذا كان يوم القيامة نادى مناد أين الظلمة وأعوانهم. The Prophet says, if it's the day of judgment, there will be a call. Where are the oppressors and those who aided them? وأعوانهم. من لاقى لهم دوات أو ربط لهم كيس أو مد لهم مدة قلم فاحشروهم معهم. Basically, it's talking about anyone that helped an oppressor up until the point that he wrote for that oppressor, put them with the oppressor. Showing us that when there is oppression, you don't just help the oppressor, you don't stand with him, you don't help him in any way, shape or form. You stand against the oppression, like Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam did. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam also says, "Al-amil bil-zulm wal-mu'inu leh wal-radhi bih shuraka thalathuhum." The one who commits the oppression, the one who helps the oppressor, and the one who is pleased with the oppression, all three of them will be counted down the sin of being an oppressor. Now, when I'm sitting here and I'm talking about oppression, it may not be very interesting to you because you think I'm talking about a dictator who's standing above you and forcing you to do this and forcing you to do that. But oppression comes in the most subtlest of ways, especially within our community. For example, ghibah. That is a form of oppression. You are oppressing another person, you are oppressing another Muslim, another believer, another mu'min when you talk behind his back. That is a form of oppression. You say something behind his back that you know he would not like for you to say. You know he would not like for you to say. Not for you to say it behind his back and say that, "I don't care, brother, I'll say it in front of his face." That doesn't matter. You say it in front of his face or not. It is still ghibah. When you say something, you know this person deep down would not be happy with you saying it. There is a hadith, Imam al-Sadiq, I believe, alaykum as-salam, or one of the Imams, he says that when a person says something about a believer and his intent is to bring him down, not to swear behind his back, not to spread lies and false accusations behind his back, but to say something that may allude to putting him down. Allah will exit this person from His rahmah, from His realm, into the realm of the shaitan, and even the shaitan won't accept him. That person that does the ghibah. He exits the circle, the realm of Allah, the mercy of Allah, enters the realm of the shaitan, and even the shaitan would not accept him. How big of a sin is it that even shaitan won't accept you? How big of a sin is it? This is a form of oppression as well. Treating your parents harshly, and we will talk about this inshallah. Tomorrow we'll be talking about how to raise your children in the way of Ahlul Bayt. The day after we'll talk about goodness to the parents. We have a whole series lined up inshallah. We'll be at your service. But being bad to your parents is a form of oppression. It is a form of oppression. Oppression can also happen when you go against Allah Azza wa Jal. You are oppressing yourself. When you go against Allah Azza wa Jal, you are oppressing yourself, and you will still be recounted as an oppressor or oppressing yourself. These are all forms of oppression. So when I talk about oppression, there is a larger picture here. Going to the second point behind the movement of Imam al-Hussein, which was what? That the people of Kufa called out to Imam al-Hussein, and they said, "We need you, Abu Abdullah, come to us." And Imam al-Hussein, on his way to Kufa, stopped at Karbala, and that is where the massacre happened. And Imam al-Hussein was answering the call or the plea of the people of Kufa. From the outside perspective, yes, this looks plausible. However, regardless, if the people of Kufa called out to Imam al-Hussein or they didn't, Imam al-Hussein was still heading for Karbala. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. He was still aiming for Karbala. Because when Imam was going towards Kufa, a lot of people offered him other areas. Some people said, go to Syria. Some people said, go to this place, go to that place. Abu Abdullah, why are you going to Kufa? Go to Yemen. Some of the Yemenis offered him sanctuary there. They said, in our high mountains, they won't be able to reach you until we can see them. Why are you heading towards Kufa? What is the purpose behind this? And that is where Imam al-Hussein says, Sha Allah an yarani qatila wa an yarahunna sabaya. He says, Allah has willed or ordained that this will happen. But there is a reason. And the reason being that Imam al-Hussein knew he was going to stop at Karbala. Imam Hussein knew this. He knew his destination wasn't Kufa. He knew his destination was Karbala. Why? Because through the blood of Imam al-Hussein, through the blood and the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein, was Karbala going to be an epicenter for the Shia. Think of it in a long term. Through the blood and through the sacrifice of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, Karbala has become an epicenter for the Shia. Al-Iraq has become an epicenter for the Shia. But if it wasn't for the sacrifice of Abi Abdullah, that wouldn't have happened. These pulpits that every year in every corner of this earth remember Imam al-Hussein, where generations are raised and gain the knowledge that they have from the pulpits of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. I'm one of them. I'm telling you, I started that from 9 years old. This pulpit is what raised me. This majalis that you see, that you have to hold on to, these majalis are what raised me and what raised a lot of the khadama and a lot of the people that speak, a lot of the ruwadid, a lot of the people that give their services to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. These pulpits are what raised them. If it wasn't for the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein, how would we have all of this? How would every single corner of this planet have at least one person that calls out, Ya Hussein? If it wasn't for the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein, how? Especially for Karbala to be the epicenter of Shi'ism. Because this is something that was pre-planned. Do not think that the area or the choosing of the area of Karbala was not already known. I will go through, inshallah, in night 9, where I talk about the mourning of the prophets over Imam al-Hussein. But this was already known, that the area where Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was going to be slaughtered, the area where his blood would shed, was Karbala. There is a narration from the other school of thought, not from the Shia books. It says, Marra Ali radiyallahu an. That's the source. Marra Ali radiyallahu an bi Karbala عند مسيره إلى صفين. Imam Ali alayhi salam was on his way to Siffin, but he went past Karbala. وهذا نينوى, which is also close to Nainawa. فوقف وسأل عن اسم الأرض. He stopped and he asked, what is this land? عن اسم الأرض فقيل كربلاء. They told him, Amir al-Mu'minin, this is Karbala. فبكى حتى بل الأرض من دموعه. He cried until the earth under him was wet when he heard Karbala. فبكى حتى بل الأرض من دموعه ثم قال. Then he says, دخلت على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وهو يبكي. He says, one time I come past and I see the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, crying. فقلت ما يبكيك بأبي أنت وأمي. He says, O Rasul Allah, what makes you cry? فقال كان عندي جبرائيل آنفا وأخبرني عن ولدي الحسين يقتل بشاطئ الفرات بموضع يقال له كربلاء. He says, O Ali ibn Abi Talib, Jibreel was just with me and he told me that your grandson al-Hussein will be slaughtered in a land that is by the river of Al-Furat that is named Karbala. There are many instances where this is also mentioned, not just that aspect, but also other aspects. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, says, أحب الأعمال إلى الله تعالى زيارة قبر الحسين عليه السلام. That the most beloved of actions in gaining closeness to Allah is visiting the grave of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Yes, you get the reward. Part of it, you do receive the reward, but it is for a further plan. The Holy Prophet is making you want to go to the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah because there is where you will establish the epicenter of a tashayyu'. There is where people will go to seminars and learn about their religion and spread the religion of Ahl al-Bayt all over the world. This is the plan. Look at it from a long-term perspective. This is the plan for it. That we have to thank Allah that He has given us this sacrifice, so that we have our religion today. How do we have our religion today? If it wasn't for these pulpits that are connected to Karbala, from where did we get our religion? From where do we know how to pray? From where do we know what's halal and what's haram? If it wasn't for Karbala. And the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, when he speaks to Fatima Zahra, I believe, he says, وسيفد إليه أقوام من شيعتنا وينصبون على قبره علما وسيجهد الظالمون في محو أثره وطمس معالمه فلا يزداد على مرور الأيام ولا كرورها إلا علوا. The Holy Prophet says that there will come a time where our Shia will establish a flag at the grave of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And the oppressors throughout history will try to bury that grave, will try to destroy that grave. And how many times they have tried? فَلَا يَزْدَادْ عَلَى مُرُورِ الْأَيَّامِ وَلَا كُرُورِهَا إِلَّا عُلُوًّا. Every time they would go to Ziyarat al-Arba'in, they would bomb the people who would walk to Karbala. Little did they know, the more you would hurt us, the more we're going to Abu Abdullah. During the time of that oppressor in Iraq, if you wanted to go visit Imam al-Hussein, he tells you, you have one option. You want to come visit your Imam, you have to cut off one of your arms. Did that stop the Shia from going to visit Imam al-Hussein? No, take. There was once an old man, he went to go visit Imam al-Hussein. He was amputated, his legs, his arms, everything. The guy on the way, he tells him, what are you doing here? He says, I came to visit. He was like, how did you end up in this state? He was like, every time I would come to visit, you guys would tell me to cut off a limb. So I kept coming to visit. This is Imam al-Hussein. When I tell you that the purpose behind this is that we have our religion, we have our faith, we can be glad to know that the religion of our grandkids and our children is safe through the blood of Imam al-Hussein. This is one of the purpose, this is one of the aims behind this. Alaykum as-salam. Going to the third reason that I spoke about, which was what? Standing against oppression, ordering good and denying evil. There are two ways that we can look at this. The first way is that the Imam is showing us, obviously, al-amr bil-ma'ruf wal-nahi an al-munkar. That you have to order good and forbid evil. Even if the people in front of you are governments. Even if the people in front of you, such as the Umayyad Caliphate and the Umayyad Empire, such a great empire to the eyes of outsiders, even if it's them, when it comes to ordering good and denying evil, you have to do what you have to do. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he says, Al-amru bil-ma'ruf wal-nahi an al-munkar khalqan min khalq Allah azza wa jal. Imam al-Baqir says that ordering good and denying evil are two creations of Allah. They are creations. They exist. There are two creations of Allah Azza wa Jal. فَمَنْ نَصَرَهُمَا أَعَزَّهُ اللَّهُ. Alaykum as-salam. Whoever orders good and denies evil, whoever honors these two creations of Allah, Allah will dignify him. Allah will what? Will dignify him. وَمَنْ خَذَلَهُمَا خَذَلَهُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. But whoever does not hold on to these teachings, whoever does not order good and deny evil, Allah will undignify him, will humiliate him when you do not order good and deny evil. What are examples of this today? When we face a government where certain policies of this government go against your belief. You have a government. This government is trying to mandate policies that are against your belief. You as a person that says, I am Husseini, as a person that comes to these gatherings, Jazakallah khair, beautiful. But look at what Imam al-Hussein done. This Imam that you're mourning over, that you're crying over, when he was faced with a government that went against his beliefs, I'm not telling you go and kill yourself. I'm not telling you go to a certain desert and wage war with the government. No. Sign a petition. Is your arm going to fall off? Is your life going to be threatened? It's not going to change anything. It is going to change. We're not going to change any. I don't care. Do what you have to do. In front of Allah Azza wa Jal, you have done your obligation, and that is ordering good and denying evil. I don't care if it's going to change anything or not. You don't know, but it may change. But at least between you and Allah Azza wa Jal, you have performed your obligation. So when we face certain governments that mandate policies that go against our faith, do we stay quiet as people who follow Abu Abdullah? As people who say, Ya Hussein, do we stay quiet? Or no, do we say something? I'm not telling you be violent. I'm not telling you cause problems. I'm not telling you cause drama. Sign a petition. What's that going to do to you? If you sign a petition, nothing. So Imam al-Hussein is our role model. And we have to look at him when it comes to things like this. I was going to talk about more in the aspect of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi an al-Munkar, but it appears we do not have enough time. So I'll go to my fourth point that is a bit hidden from the pulpits when they talk about this. Is that another point of Imam al-Hussein and the movement of Imam al-Hussein is to save Islam from ideological degradation. What do I mean by this? Imam al-Hussein was during the time of the Umayyad Empire. The Umayyad Empire, from the outside, You have a lot of people, they say the Umayyad Empire, they made Islam reach to Spain and to Europe and to Africa and to all of these countries, and it's such a great empire and it has done such good. Answer me this question. If they are such a good empire and if they spread Islam with peace, why isn't Spain a Muslim country? Why didn't it stay a Muslim country if they spread Islam by peace? They spread it by sword. They spread it by something that is completely against what the Prophet, peace be upon him, ordered us to do. So next time someone comes and tells you about this empire and the Umayyad Empire, they stood for Islam and they conquered. No, they slaughtered. They ravaged. They pillaged. Otherwise, all these countries that they conquered and invaded would have been Muslim right now if they were happy with being Muslim. And another thing that this empire done, this Umayyad Caliphate, is that they degraded Allah and His Prophet. A lot of the ahadith that the Muslims have, when it talks about such things, came from during the time of the Umayyad Empire. From these people, Yazid, Muawiyah. These people inserted ahadith that degraded Allah and His Prophet to such a level that until this day, non-Muslims use these ahadith against the Muslims. That this is what your Prophet does. This is your God. This is your belief. These are things that the Umayyad Empire put into these ahadith. And Imam al-Hussein, to save the people from ideological degradation, stood for what he stood for. I'll give you examples of what they done. For example, the idea that God has a body, that is one thing. The tajseed of Allah, that He has a body, He has a leg, He rides on a donkey on Thursday night. That's one thing. Second thing, that the Prophet wanted to commit suicide. He saw Jibreel, he got scared, he wanted to jump off. The Prophet, Ajallakum Allah, urinates while standing up. That's another thing. The Prophet drank wine. The Prophet drank wine, he loved wine. The Prophet killed an innocent woman. For no reason, the Prophet killed a woman. The Prophet forgets during Salah. He sits there on his second rak'ah and one of the companions had to remind the Prophet that no, you're not on this rak'ah. And there are many other ahadith where they degrade the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. These were inserted by these people, degrading the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. When Muawiyah, he is in the adhan, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And he says, Dafnan Dafna. I will bury this name. Not bury it in the aspect that we understand, but no, bury any goodness that is in this name. Anything that's good in this name, this person tried to bury it with these narrations that are completely false and lies. Imam al-Hussein had to stand up against this. Because if he didn't, up until now, this is what we would believe as well. Up until now, this would be our belief, like many Muslims believe. But if it wasn't for the sacrifice of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, we wouldn't have known that this wasn't the Prophet. We would have thought that this was our Prophet, Ajallakum. If it wasn't for the sacrifice of Aba Abdullah, we would have believed this. Other things that the Umayyad Empire did, they killed companions, righteous companions of the Holy Prophet. People such as Rashid al-Hajari and Kumail ibn Ziyad. He ordered their deaths. He imprisoned many of the good companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Prophet, peace be upon him. Bribing became a thing. They started to bribe judges to suit their own political needs. The gap between rich and poor became massive. This was all during the time of the Umayyad Empire. Imam al-Hussein had to stand up against this. To protect us and to protect the people of that time, he had to stand up against this. Circling back to end this lecture, inshallah. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam took his message through stages. The first stage is to announce his stance against Yazid. مثلي لا يبايع مثله. That I am standing up against corruption, I am standing up against oppression, to show us as well to stand up against oppression. Second step was to head towards Karbala, even though yes, the people of Kufa called Imam al-Hussein, but also to make Karbala and Iraq the epicenter of at-Tashayyu'. And the third step was to order good and deny evil, and to protect the place of Imam in front of the people. That the place of Imamat is dignified, to make sure that in front of the people they know that the Imam stood for his people, that the Imam stood for the religion of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, even though it meant his death. And another step is that to protect us from ideological degradation, to not believe our Prophet to be such a man as the people of the Umayyad Empire put an image on. He protected us from all of these aspects. So inshallah, in the coming days, inshallah we will see all of you, and inshallah we will see everyone continuing to wear the black and mourning over Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Take these 10 days seriously. They said Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, when these 10 days would come, they would not see him even smile. This is a tragedy. This is your Imam. Pretend like this is one of your relatives who has passed away. Would you be laughing? Would you be smiling? Would you be laughing around? This is serious. This is a majlis of Abu Abdullah. Please, hold on to these etiquettes, and inshallah we will see you in the following days with this in mind, that this is the message of Imam al-Hussein. This is what he stood for, and to have that in our mind when we are doing khidmah, when we are helping out others, when we are honoring the message of Abu Abdullah, we know that the purpose behind Imam al-Hussein was this. اللهم عجل وليك الفرج والعافية والنصر واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه